And my fourth example is a senator. Pag sinabi niyang bibit-biting kita, kekwelyuhan kita, palalayasin kita, is that a grave threat? I'll add some details. If that is supposedly addressed to a fellow senator, and she's a female senator like me, na kahit na hindi naman isa hong kilalang runner, marathoner, but a non-violent person, is that a grave threat? Well, I'll just tell you my personal opinion and then I'll tell you now. I felt that was a grave threat. So, may I ask the counsel and the witness to now answer the question? Thank you.
If you may, Your Honor, please, yung prosecution po.
Senator Judge Pia, who do you want to answer first?
Good
In the
question.
order that you
Pag-iisipan ko
prefer.
ng matagal yan, Mr. President. I give you the decision on that one, Mr. President. Siguro prosecution kasi
Yes po.
sila naman ang kailangan mag-prove ng case nila. And then the witness and then the defense counsel.
Again, an admonition from the chair without stating conclusions of fact and law that again is reserved for the impeachment court. You may state your opinions with respect to the elements of
Definitely.
the crime of grave threat specifically identified
Yes.
by the senator judge.
And if I may, presiding officer, feel free to interrupt them if you feel that they have crossed the line, as I will. That's why I just
Opo,
want, I repeat my question, I want to understand your appreciation of the crime. You may, Mr. President, will we allow them to cite jurisprudence? I leave it up to you. I just want to understand the appreciation kasi.
Opo.
What do you think?
Doon sa particular pong katanungan yon ni Senator Judge Pia Cayetano na dapat ba may takot na naramdaman, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator Judge Pia?
Yes.
Yung taong tinatakot o subject matter ng grave threats o pampublikong pagtanggap pa na nakakatakot yung mga sinabi niya laban dun sa taong tinatakot niya.
Siguro a simple yes or no with a very short explanation would
Opo.
suffice, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Attorney Ligutan, you have 2
Maraming
minutes,
salamat,
please.
Senator Pia Cayetano. Maraming salamat sa pagkakataon. Yung sagot sa tanong na iyan, yung sagot po ng prosecution, hindi po galing sa opinion ng aking mga kasama. Ito po ay isang decision. No less than the Supreme Court of the Philippines. It just so happened, Your Honors, as an answer, in answer po sa tanong ni Senator Pia Cayetano, may dalawang kaso na po yung Supreme Court. Yung isa is Paera versus People. Yung GR number, siguro yung mga law students, no? Mga law students, GR number 181626, May 30, 2011. The title is Paera versus People. Sinabi ng Supreme Court doon, wala pong batas na nagre-require na may private complainant. Ibig sabihin, hindi po required na yung biktima mag-execute ng affidavit upang yung akusado po pwedeng ma-found guilty ng grave threat. Paera versus People. But more than that, Your Honor, please, may isang kaso pa. No less than the Supreme Court in the Philippines. Sinabi doon, hindi po kailangan na yung recipient mismo nakaramdam ng takot or that sineryoso yung pagbabanta. Your Honor, to repeat, etong sinabi ng Supreme Court, all that needs to be proven is that they were intended by the accused to have that effects. Yung sagot sa tanong, hindi po galing sa prosecution, hindi po opinion, galing mismo sa Supreme Court of the Philippines, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. So, Mr. President, can we now...
If I may add, Senator Judge Pia, if I remember my memory aid correctly, there are only certain private crimes that need a private complainant, and most of these are personal crimes such as concubinage, adultery, seduction, abduction, rape, and acts of lasciviousness. Although these crimes are all entitled People of the Philippines versus the accused, without a private complainant, these crimes cannot be filed by the prosecutor in court without the cooperation or affidavit of the private complainant. Counsel for respondent will please reply to the query of Senator Judge Pia Cayetano. You also have 2 minutes, sir.
All right. I will try to avoid making conclusions of fact and law, Your Honor, but I will answer in light of the facts of this case and leave it up to the discretion of this honorable court.
Please, sir, you may proceed.
It is our position that the statements made by the Vice President were not threats in the first place. That's why we were categorizing it as response, a mere response to a Q&A. Number one. Number two, it was never aimed directly at BBM, FL, and the former speaker. In other words, had they not watched the video, for example, they wouldn't have known about it. So in other words, Your Honor, there was no threats to begin with. And so even the discussion on the elements is not really applicable insofar as determining the innocence or guilt of the Vice President. That is basically our position. That is one more thing. And practically, we maintain this position all throughout our pleadings. We never referred to that statement as threats. We always say that if at all, they were alleged threats. But we referred to the statements of the Vice President as statements, as responses. And even in my speech, that's what I said. It was a response, Your Honor. That would be all, Your Honor.
Noted. Attorney Lotop, your response to Senator Judge Pia's question based on your investigation. You may proceed, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. In establishing, Your Honor, whether or not the crime of grave threat exists, we follow the rule. First, whether there is an actus reus, and then second, whether there is a mens rea. So actus reus, Your Honor, means whether the offender in fact uttered the threatening remarks. We were able to establish that. That's why in-authenticate po ng NBI yung video na kung saan nandoon yung utterances. The test of mens rea, Your Honor, what we did, we interpret the utterances objectively and in the light of the circumstances in which they were uttered, in the manner in which those utterances were spoken, the person to whom they were addressed, the utterances were addressed, the relationship between the parties, meaning the offender and the recipients, and then the reactions of the recipients, whether they treat the utterances serious or real. But again, I would agree with what Attorney Ligutan said. In fact, ang basis po namin dyan, yung Garma versus People. Ang isa ho doon sa sinabi ng Garma versus People, hindi ho kailangan na ma-intimidate o itrato ng recipient na seryoso yung threat na yan. Ang sufficient na maipakita lang na yun yung intensyon ng offender, na ma-intimidate at i-treat na seryoso yung utterances or threatening remarks na ginawa niya. Yun po yung naging basihan po namin, Your Honor.
I hope that satisfies Senator Judge Pia Cayetano.
It actually does, but if I still have time, I have a follow-up question for all. Do I? Well, anyway, everyone went over time, so since my bell hasn't
No, you
rung-
don't, but you can ask your final question, Madam.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. Siguro sa witness na lang. You mentioned the word threat, no? So, can you just elaborate on that? What to you would be the difference between a threat a threat and a, sorry, I don't know if you uttered the word that I want to ask you now, no? But you referred to threat, of course. What would be the difference between a mere warning and a threat?
I mean, warning and a threat, sir.
At what point does a warning become a threat?
Well, Your Honor, if I'm going to, based on our investigation, kung i-apply ko ho yung,
Hindi na.
yung,
You don't have to. Just asking you your legal opinion. You're a lawyer. You may answer. Is it not correct, Mr. President?
I think,
If he knows.
just in my own opinion, although, warning is, maybe there is a, what we call an event-based condition. Pwedeng ganon na, pag inulit mo itong gagawin ko sa'yo, pwede hong warning yon.
Di ba ganun yung threat?
Yung threat, Your Honor, pag ang threat is with a condition, pwede ho siyang mag-fall ng ganon. Pag sinabi ng threat is, pag ginawa mo to, ito ang gagawin ko sa'yo, papatayin kita, papatayin ko yung pamilya mo, papatayin ko yung ganyan. So para siyang nag-overlap, depende sa appreciation for us ng investigator, Your Honor. But insofar as the NBI Cybercrime Division is concerned, what we did is we established the elements of the grave threats based on the surrounding facts and circumstances, and then we conclude that indeed nag-violate ho ang ating Vice Presidente.
Attorney Lutok, warning in Filipino is babala.
Yes, opo.
Threat in Filipino is banta.
Yes, opo.
Kaya di ba, babala, bawal magtapon ng basura dito. Warning.
Pwede po yun, sir.
Di ba? Ang tanong ni Senator Pia, kailan nagiging banta yon?
Well, depende sa konteksto siguro, Your Honor. May warning din po kasi na I warned you. Sasabi ko, pag inulit mo to, ito nang mangyayari sa'yo. May konteksto ho na ganon, Your Honor. Na somehow nag-overlap siya doon sa elements ng grave threats na conditional, na sinabi na pag ito ang nangyari, ito ang gagawin ko sa'yo. So, depende ho sa konteksto, Your Honor.
So, depende sa konteksto, sa delivery, sa taas ng boses, gaano kagalit, may kapasidad.
Yes po.
Maraming bagay.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Senator Judge Pia?
Yeah, so in other words,
Your witness?
it depends on the circumstances surrounding the incident or at the time that
Yes,
the
ma'am.
utterance was made.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so laging contextual. Okay, maraming salamat sa lahat. I just want to emphasize na, Mr. Presiding Officer, I posted my question to each of the counsels and the witness precisely so that tayo masabihan na may bias. Isa lang yung binibigyan natin ng opportunity to explain their side. I really genuinely just wanted to know what their appreciation of the definition of grave threats is. Thank you so much.
We thank the good Senator